Trending, focusing on reactions trailing the dramatic public confrontation between the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Wike, and a military personnel on Tuesday. The incident unfolded when soldiers reportedly acting on orders from a former Chief of Naval Staff forcibly removed FCT development control officials who were enforcing a directive to halt the development of a plot of land in Abuja that the minister described as illegal. Let's take a look.
It's not what I'm saying here. It's order. Yes. It's not a government order. He has no formal. Okay, can I tell something?
Sir, let me request to enlighten you. Sir, there's no such thing as a former vice admiral.
Okay, thank you very much.
Vice admiral is vice admiral.
It's not an officer now. He's not serving the government. Even if he's serving in government, this government property. Show me the document you have. You have no document.
So what documents?
Bring the document.
You have documents and everything has been submitted, sir.
Excuse me, I'm the minister.
Yes, sir.
You cannot tell me. You cannot tell me that. We cannot continue to add in this impunity. Where is the approval even to build? You cannot continue this way. This country cannot continue along this line. How can that man at his level, even if he has a problem, he cannot reach me and say, look, I'm sorry, see what I have. You will send soldiers to intimidate who? We are all from this country. And this is government. You cannot be higher than any government. You cannot be carrying gun to intimidate people to not to do their work. Let me tell you, if not going to achieve for the first staff who spoke to me now, you could have killed everybody here. No problem. I'm not one of those that they can intimidate. I'm doing my job.
We are not intimidating anybody.
That's what you're doing.
The civilian, the engineer mobilized to site, and then staff or workers of SDA look at this to intimidate them.
No, listen now.
That is threatening them. And that was when the admiral gave the order.
He cannot give order against government.
Because the papers are complete and he said that submitted.
Are you the one? Listen, you know the problem you have. Are you the one that will say, paper, show me that you are old? First of all, show me that government gave you this place. Two, show me that you have an approval to build what you are building. It has nothing to do with, I'm a vice admiral, I'm a lieutenant general. That is not it. We must work according to law. We must work according to law.
We forwarded everything to me. Yes,
to who?
No, don't tell like this. Don't tell like this. Don't you try it. Don't tell me like that. Don't try like this. No. Don't try it. Don't tell me. Don't try it. Don't tell me I'm lying. I'm more than lying. I'm more than lying. I'm more than you. Don't intimidate me. Who are you?
I don't know what I do.
Just
stop this here. Stop this.
How do I address him? How do I address him? This is not professional. It's not professional. You can't do the same thing. Sir, everything was applied legally.
Will you stop
that?
Will you stop that?
Sir, I'm an officer, I have integrity.
Shut up, you're not good officer.
I will not shut up.
Will you get up?
Sir, I won't shut up. Sir,
I was in school, you're not in school.
Sir, you can't shut
me up. Will you keep quiet?
You can't shut me up, sir. I'm not a fool. I'm not a fool, sir. Sir, I'm not a fool. I am not a fool, sir.
As for the time I graduated, you are primary school.
I'm acting on order.
For which order? You say whether you love me here.
Sir, you can't call me a fool. I'm not a fool, sir.
You have killed everybody here.
No, we are not killing anybody. We won't kill anybody.
So intense. Oh my goodness. Well, speaking to the press after that confrontation, Wike accused the military of intimidation, insisting that the occupants failed to provide valid acquisition documents or building approvals when challenged by development control officers.
I don't understand how somebody who attained that position and see that he has a problem cannot approach my office to say, look, this is what is going on, this is what is going on. But simply because he's a military man, he could use that to intimidate Nigerians. I'm not one of those kind of persons that will succumb to blackmail or intimidation. And you can imagine where you cannot even prove where are the documents. And the director of the control is there and said, look, I was there. I said, bring the documents. You don't have the documents. Bring the approval for building. You don't have it. And how can we continue to allow lawlessness to prevail in this country? What about those who don't have the military? What about those who don't have security? It has gotten to a level where when government officials are carrying out their job, you go and bring security to intimidate them against government officials. I will not accept that.
All right, Wike has said that he had contacted the Chief of Defense Staff and the Chief of Naval Staff, both of whom assured him the matter will be resolved. I mean, reactions have trailed. Ayo, the name of the naval officer who actually called these military personnel to get rid of those people that were developing the land.
Yes, so that's Vice Admiral A.Z. Gambo, retired.
He's retired.
He was
naval
former
officer.
Chief of Naval Staff. I think he served 2 years ago.
So he's
retired
not,
but not tired.
He's retired but not tired.
He is retired but not tired. But you heard the officer there saying that he's not retired. Once a naval officer, if you can correct me.
Yeah. So we can use the word ex Air Vice. I said so you can use retired.
You can use retired, but you can't say former.
Former, yes,
okay.
Former.
All right.
Yeah.
We're unraveling
Got
so many
educated.
things. Yes.
Educated.
Let's take some reactions because reactions have trailed. This person wrote on X. Classic case of he who lives by the sword dies by the sword. Wike thinks say nafubara. Anyways, power isn't loud. Wike is not used to getting a no. That's why he thinks he could intimidate an officer that probably already had him in mind. These are soldiers. He could have just spoken to his superior instead of trying to intimidate or even use foul language. Now, he ended up embarrassing himself. Now, I got this comment on WhatsApp, and this person wrote, "What does the law say?" This is Wike versus Nigeria naval officer. "We may be happy that Wike met his match today. We may even say them serve the food of intimidation where himself they serve others. But regardless of our personal opinion, the law is not emotional and will never be. Under the law, a military officer does not have the right to intervene in land dispute matters, talk less of stopping a minister from inspecting a land. Under the Land Use Act, the land ownership belongs to the governor of the state, of which Wike is equivalent to in the FCT. Land disputes are civil cases, and even the police doesn't have the right to intervene until there is a crime, like fighting. The basic responsibility of the Nigerian military is to defend Nigeria from external aggression, maintain the territorial integrity and secure the borders, suppress insurrection, and act in aid of civil authorities to restore order under specific conditions and presidential directive only. Any attempt by a military officer, like what we saw today, to assert jurisdiction or forcibly intervene in a non-military land dispute is unlawful and an abuse of power. That military officer and whoever sent them on that mission needs to face punishment for acting outside their legal jurisdiction. It is an insult to our democratic ruling to have military officers sent to protect ordinary land, a civil case for that matter. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. Rufai is already screaming, I disagree.
Totally.
Okay, so I'll come to you, but
Yes,
before I come to you, let me take a statement as well. The former Chief of Army Staff, Toko Buratai, has condemned Wike's confrontation with the soldier, describing it as a threat to national security that demands an immediate apology. In a strongly worded release, the former army chief said Wike's public disparagement of the uniformed officer transcends mere misconduct and represents a probable threat to institutional integrity. Well, let's take that statement right now. Can we pull up that statement? It says, a minister's verbal assault on a military officer in uniform is an act of profound indiscipline that strikes at the core of our nation's command and control structure. It deliberately undermines the chain of command, disrespects the authority of the commander-in-chief, and grievously wounds the morale of every individual who serves under the Nigerian flag. Buratai argued that such actions erode the foundation of discipline upon which Nigeria's national security apparatus stands. He dismissed suggestions that the incident was political theater, calling it instead a reckless endangerment of national order and a clear indication of undermining the federal government's authority. The former army chief demanded that Wike immediately issue an apology to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as commander-in-chief of the armed forces and to the officer whose honor was violated. He insisted that the nation's security must come first and called for decisive action rather than politics of military bashing. I mean, we've gotten two different reports to balance this story, Rufai. But, you know, this Buratai's intervention adds another, you know, significant military voice to the growing controversy surrounding Wike's confrontation with the soldiers. Your thoughts before we take more reactions?
In the words of Nyesom Wike, if he didn't dare, he didn't dare. He never. Why I disagree with that first message you read is the fact that, do you know that the FCDA had sent security personnel to go harass the engineer working on the site before? It was in reaction to that that the army now sent people there. So that analogy was wrong. The FCDA at first used force. And it's in reaction to that, they brought another level of force. So you can say, oh, violation of laws and everything. But it is in reaction to that. So both of them, on that score, they are wrong. The second score that is wrong, please, with due respect, how many court orders has Wike himself respected of people that he goes ahead, that they have a court paper, and they have an initial agreement, he will turn their pack around and take it? Didn't we talk about the story of those two young girls here? Didn't I challenge the senior advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Falono, about it? How many has he respected? See, let's not deceive ourselves. Wike has acted like a god over the land in Abuja, and he forgets that you're not going to be FCT minister forever. Before you, El Rufai, he did his own. He still left in the end. Why?
Meaning?
Please, be gently. Do it.
Speaks evil as well.
Do it slowly.
All right.
The third point is, you now got there. You claim that you have called before. You had called the man superior. Why was that the show? It's because you wanted to intimidate him. But the man refused to be cowed. Yerima refused to be cowed. And please, those that are trying to skew narrative, Yerima didn't insult the minister.
All right.
All he said is, stood his ground. How can you call somebody a fool and you expect him not to talk? The next thing, you are a boy. Just like one minister was calling me a boy the other day, small boy. The next thing, I was already after I finished school before. Is that the bone of contention?
All right.
Please, like I said, the Hadiza Bala Usman's index should be released to the public so that we even have a ministerial code and screening.
All right.
You can't just have all sorts of things happen like this now.
Rufai, you have more opportunity to speak. Let's take some more reactions. This is from Characteristics, who wrote, unfortunately, this incident reflects a broader pattern where some retired or serving military officers attempt to use armed personnel to intimidate civilian authorities or protect questionable private interests. Such behavior undermines the rule of law, erodes public trust in the armed forces, and weakens Nigeria's democratic institutions. The president, as commander-in-chief, must call the military hierarchy to order. The military must reaffirm its constitutional duty to remain subordinate to civil authority and ensure that no officer serving or retired uses the uniform to pursue private gain. The Nigerian armed forces have a proud history of discipline and service to the nation. That discipline must extend to respecting the boundaries of lawful deployment and upholding the supremacy of civilian authority. The events in the FCT should serve as a wake-up call for renewed civil military education and strict accountability within the rank. Well, before I come to you, we got reports alleging that, you know, that disputed 30-hectare plot of land in Gadwa district was originally allocated to serving and retired military officers, but was later revoked by Wike. That report has been making the rounds on social media. The report also alleged that the land was reallocated to Wike's political associates and that the revocation and redistribution were carried out in total disregard of due process, official recommendations, and existing approvals. Well, according to a 2022 letter from the FCTA Parks and Recreation Department, the land was originally designated as a green area for park development and was subdivided by various organizations, including Santos Estates Limited and Quiro International Ventures. An approval was reportedly sought since 2014, but ignored despite memos recommending it. The FCT minister was said to have changed the land use from park to recreation to multi-purpose before issuing fresh rights of occupancy to new beneficiary. We're seeing this sort of, reports. And I must say, those documents that were presented right now has not been independently verified by Arise News. But these are the reports that are circulating, plus the fact that it's trending. The dispute, Ayo, exposes the complexity of land administration in the FCT, where powerful interests often collide. Wike has built his FCT tenure on aggressive enforcement against illegal development. These new allegations raise questions about transparency in his own reallocation process. Well, a 2022 video showing the moment a chief superintendent of police defied an order from Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu to vacate the Magodo Phase 2 estate amid a lingering land dispute has resurfaced online, drawing sharp comparisons with FCT Minister Nyesom Wike's confrontation with the soldier. Let's take a look.
Can you call your superior in Abuja and tell them that the governor is here and I'm the chief security officer and that you don't have any business being in my state right now and that I want you to disengage forthwith for him?
Thank you very much, sir. Your Excellency, sir. I'm not here on my own orders.
That's why I'm asking you to make a phone call and tell them, your superior, that I'm here standing in front of you. Make that phone call.
Thank you, sir. I'm here on instruction of this Inspector General of Police to the AGF, sir. And that is why I'm here. I'm too small or too low to call them. Your Excellency, sir, with due respect, sir, you can call them directly, sir.
I have spoken to the Attorney General this morning, so he's not aware that you are here.
We are expecting the call that we should disengage.
That's what I'm saying to you.
Yes, sir.
Because when I make the phone call, it will be tougher. If you can call and say that the governor is here in front of you, what should you do?
It is not my duty to call because I'm too low to do that, sir. Okay. If you call...
So where are your men?
My men are here. They are all over the estate.
Yes, sir. You're assistant, what is it?
I'm a chief superintendent of police.
Oh, CSP?
Yes, sir.
Okay, right. So, pressman, don't worry. I'll make 2 phone calls, right? One to the Inspector General of Police and one to the Attorney General of the Federation. Very illegal operation. They have absolutely nothing, and I'm the chief security of the state.
Thank you, sir.
Gentlemen, give me 5 minutes. I'll make those 2 phone calls.
All right. I mean, that video began trending, and you can see the stark difference between how the minister handled the soldier and how Babajide Sanwo-Olu, the governor of Lagos State, handled a police officer with respect and with respect to the Nigerian public. He didn't call him a fool. He didn't tell him to shut up. You know, he was not disrespecting the man in uniform. And you see these pictures that started trending online. This is it. You are a fool. I'm not a fool, sir. And the military man stood his ground. Ayo.
All right, so some people have described this show of, I don't know what to call it. I'm trying to remove the word show of shame, but I don't think there's anything more elevated, anything better to call it. Yes. It's a show of shame, and it's quite unfortunate that this has happened, but it gives us an opportunity to see what happens. This is impunity versus impunity, because if you look at it objectively, both sides, and as reflected by the tweets or the X posts you read out, are, they come under questioning. Number one is that when you speak to many quarters, this issue could have been resolved amicably without this show of shame and show of force and show of whose power is higher than the other power. What were the options available to the FCT minister? On arriving there, the easiest thing is that when matters like this happen, you go to court. As they always ask, that this could have been resolved using, and this is where we talk about the respect of the rule of law. But guess what? We don't have the respect for rule of law and institutions. Hence, we take matters into our own hands, and then we have a state of anarchy. anarchy. And that's what ensued yesterday. Very unfortunate incident. A state of anarchy where Nigerians then resort to taking matters into their own hands. So what does this mean? Does it mean that the response to FCT Minister Wike's going around revoking land is to get military on your land so that you will not be able to enter? That's a state of anarchy, whereby people take matters into their own law and they don't respect the rule of law. And so in the same vein as well, the military, former CNS, could have gone to court to challenge the revocation of the land by Minister Wike instead of sending his boys to the to ground to resist any kind of... But that's what I'm saying. No, but that's what I'm saying. It is the strength of our institutions, and that's why we keep talking about strengthening our institution. I say this because if anything had happened, Wike would have unnecessarily wasted the lives of those servicemen, because he had said that everybody here would die if I wanted to show myself.
No, would have died. I don't think he said.
He said that if they would have been a shootout if he wanted to assert his authority.
No,
so what I'm saying, no, I watched the video.
He said,
I watched the video.
He said, what you're doing here, people would have died.
Yeah, well, that's, so what he meant was that if he had allowed the altercation between his security aides and the military, but that's what I'm saying, that these young men who are supposed to be saving lives and properties of Nigeria would have died for a useless cause because people's egos were God. That's what I'm saying, that if we don't respect institutions and the rule of law, this is what happens with big manism in Nigeria. And so that's why I'm saying that on both sides, we have the courts for a reason. We have due process for a reason. Can we follow due process? For too long, people take matters into their own hands, and we have, powerful people just flouting the laws for no reason. I applaud the uniformed officer. According to a military man, no commissioned officer would take that insult to his person lying low. And so he spoke with dignity, he spoke with respect, and he stood his ground based on orders.
We're yet to hear from the military hierarchy at this point. We've heard from Buratai, so we'd like to see really the resolution to this sort of engagement. Plenty questions were raised, and I'll just ask some of them, and this is for, the military command. First, can the Navy or military stop enforcement action by civil authorities too? Can an officer of the Nigerian Armed Forces in uniform be abused and insulted? Is the uniform not the symbol of the sovereignty of Nigeria? Can civil authorities disrespect the sovereignty of Nigeria as represented in the military officer in uniform? Finally, should the minister not have reported the officer to his commander-in-chief? We did see that he called, and so these are the sort of questions that we want to hear from the military command. Bimba, I've loved your comment, but we've run out of time. I'll take this story and then you can do that. Well, all right. In Edo State, reactions continue to trail the invasion of the Museum of West African Art in Benin City by protesters demanding the facility be renamed Benin Royal Museum. The protesters forced the evacuation of international guests and the cancellation of the museum's opening event. Speaking while receiving a foreign delegation at the government house in Benin City, Edo State Governor Monday Okpebholo expressed surprise over the visit, saying he had no prior information about the event. The delegation included representatives from the European Union and German ambassadors. Governor Okpebholo stated that the previous administration never briefed him about MOWA, nor handed over any documentation concerning the project. He described the controversy as stemming from lack of transparency by the previous administration, questioning how the project evolved from Benin Royal Museum to Edo Museum of West African Art, and now Museum of West African Art, without clarity or consultation. Over the weekend, protesters chanted songs in solidarity with the king. Unbelievable. Well, meanwhile, at the palace of Oba II. The Benin monarch lamented that documents brought for him to sign would have taken away their rights to the artifact, declaring that it is like history wanting to repeat itself. He stated that his forefathers suffered during the British invasion of 1897 and that it is unfair that it is happening again. I mean, the MOMA controversy exposes troubling questions about governance, cultural sovereignty, and the return of looted artifacts. How does a sitting governor know nothing about a major international project in his state? Why were documents prepared that the Oba claims would strip Benin of rights to its own heritage, while Governor Okpebholo says he's constituting a committee to investigate? Nigerians must now ask, are we genuinely reclaiming our stolen heritage or witnessing a new form of cultural disposition disguised as restitution? And those are the questions that people are asking at this point. You saw that charade on Sunday. Yeah. It was a complete mess. And we're seeing that the governor is saying that he was not aware. I mean, this is our heritage. This is our artifacts. These are not the sort of things that should be played with. The museum was about to be opened and we saw thugs. I mean, what are your thoughts?
I mean, Oji, this breaks my heart because when the artifacts came home or started coming home, one of the biggest issues where people were concerned that these artifacts would be relooted. That was number one issue. And we gave the assurance that, no, they are ours. We know what to do with them. We know what to handle with them. But now we see what seems to be a growing tension between our royal fathers and the state. This is one example of what we've seen happening several times over in recent years of friction, because this is supposed to be a partially state-owned endeavor. Edo State has equity in this project, and whether it was constituted by Obaseki and has now moved over to Okpebholo, it should not matter who the governor is, because the state itself has equity in this. Now, from the fact that it now seems to be turning into a more privatized project without the consensus of the people that need, the stakeholders that need to have a say in it, is another concerning development. And I stand with the Oba of Benin, who is saying that, well, it looks like this is a recolonization because millions of dollars have poured into this project, with millions more. We're talking up to $100 million that's supposed to come into this project. And how can it be that the stakeholders, the people who preserve and oversee our heritage, are unaware of this, of these transactions? Instead, you see there are some international representatives who are coming in and out, waltzing freely, as if this is London or this is some place in Berlin. No, this is Edo State. This is Nigeria, and we have the full capacity to ensure that we preserve our heritage. However, the will needs to exist to do so. So all these, this is not an issue that should be politicized. All should come to the table in order to be able to resolve this, to ensure that in 100 years, these artifacts will still stand in this museum for the interest of the preservation of our history. Very quickly on Nyesom Wike, I know I said just one sentence. My one sentence is that what struck me and what hurt me, Oji, is that we are seeing optics of civilian versus military in 2025, when we've just come from threats or reports or rumors, whatever you want to call it, of a military coup. The soldiers should be on the war front because we're currently in a national security crisis. Very well said. For me, it's unfortunate. Yes, a response to a mistake can also be a mistake. Yeah. Nobody was right in that scenario. However, the optics of seeing soldiers confronting, public officials, it's not a good look while we're trying to tell the world that we're committed to the fight against insurgency.
I agree with you. We know that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has constituted a high-level presidential committee